Can we start with a show of hands, please? How many of you in the audience have had a concussion or know someone who's had a concussion? Please raise your hands and keep them raised for a moment. 69 million people around the world will suffer from brain injuries annually, and that experience is represented in this room. Now, please keep your hands raised for a moment longer and reflect on this. Do you feel that the people surrounding the people who had a concussion fully understood what it is this person was going through? If you feel they did not understand, please lower your hands. And that sets up the reality and journey of a brain injury. 3 years ago, I was going about my day as a freshman in university when I had a concussion, also known as a mild traumatic brain injury. Immediately, I began to notice symptoms that many associate with brain injuries. I had noise sensitivity, light sensitivity, and a really bad headache. I also felt things that are less obvious. I experienced uncertainty. When would I recover? What would happen with my career plans and my studies? But over the next 3 years, these symptoms didn't just disappear, and I would uncover information about brain injuries that shocked me. Of the millions around the world who have brain injuries, up to 30% of adults will continue to have persisting symptoms, daily symptoms, for up to years beyond their injury. This is what used to be known as post-concussive syndrome, now prolonged symptoms of concussion, and there is still so much we don't know about it. Like, how is it that one person can take years before they feel better, while another can take days? And at what point did we start to treat brain injuries as an emergency, demanding our medical attention rather than just a part of everyday life? People can get a concussion from anything. A fall, bumping into a person or a door. They are caused by the rapid acceleration and deceleration of the brain inside the skull. Your head does not need to hit something to get a concussion, and your brain does not need to hit the inside of your skull. Our physiology evolved to be resilient. We were meant to take hits and tumbles that shake our brains suspended in cerebral spinal fluid. But once a certain threshold of movement is reached and our brain cells are stretched and damaged, that is a concussion. Even if you don't have a concussion, it could be anyone you know. Now, if I asked you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word concussion, what would that thing be? For many of you, you might think of an experience of a family member or friends or even yourself. But for the rest of the world, media and culture has primed us to think of sports. Like the National Hockey League, where Sidney Crosby missed over 100 games after his concussion during the 2011 Stanley Cup playoffs. Or Troy Aikman, who said he had no memory of the 1994 championship game where he sustained a concussion during the third quarter. Or maybe you think of Mike Webster, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the first diagnosed case of CTE, also known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE is a degenerative brain disease, and it is caused by many concussions, buildup of many concussions over many, many years, and is primarily a risk for high-contact sports athletes, not everyday people who've maybe had a couple of concussions. What's interesting is that it cannot be seen with the bare eye and can only be diagnosed post-mortem during an autopsy. Imagine that after years of intense bodily harm, this is what your brain looks like on the right-hand side. Not only does it affect your neurological health, but imagine your relationships, how your family may worry for you. It is said that early signs of CTE include explosive behaviors, paranoia, and a loss of memory. Webster's story inspired the 2015 film Concussion, raising awareness for sports-related brain injuries, and remains an important message for parents around the world hoping to enroll their kids in sports. The message is not to avoid sports, but to take necessary protective measures to avoid head trauma and to properly address existing injuries. As humans, we have a tendency to find solutions only after problems arise, often once tragedy has already occurred. Such is the story of Rowan Stringer, who passed away in 2013 after returning to high school rugby despite multiple concussions sustained within the same week. She didn't know that her brain needed more time to heal, and thus her fatal brain swelling was deemed preventable under different culture and policies and media and sports. Her story led to Rowan's Law being passed in Ontario, the first Canadian province to pass a concussion-related legislation. Now, how many of you know the name Muhammad Ali? Many experts in the world of sports, including my dad, regard him as one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. After a fight with Larry Holmes in 1980, his doctors began to notice early signs of slurred speech and slowed movement. The reality is, it's estimated that Muhammad Ali took up to 200,000 hits in his career, with 29,000 of those being blows to the head. Although no one knows the full truth, many scientists believe that this was what caused his Parkinson's disease right out of retirement. Behind me is a photo taken of Muhammad Ali during his knockout of Sonny Liston in 1965, where he famously shouted, "Get up and fight!" When you think of Muhammad Ali, you define him by his grit and his wittiness, but very few see the side where his family and friends were worried for his neurological health, where he was fighting decline after so many years of brain injuries. Muhammad Ali's story shows us that brain injuries are cumulative, and that even someone who many consider to be the strongest man alive can be affected by them. I want to clear up some misconceptions about brain injuries. Under the traumatic brain injury umbrella, there are 3 types: mild, moderate, and severe. What's interesting is that mild TBIs, also called concussions, almost never show up on a CT scan or an MRI. That's right. They are invisible to the eye. They are an invisible injury. And yet changes in the wiring of the brain itself can be picked up on functional imaging. While many would find this fascinating, an institution thought to actually explore this by taking scans of brains with people with concussion and those without concussions. These photos, unsurprisingly, were identical. And yet what they found was that changes in the wiring of the brain itself could be picked up on a different type of MRI test, ones that measured how water flows through the brain. They caught unique paths of water in the white matter brain with concussions. But what does this mean, you may ask? These scientists validated very real symptoms that people are experiencing, ones that are not just in your head. Trauma changes the brain physically. Moderate TBI is characterized by a loss of consciousness lasting 30 minutes to 24 hours, and a severe TBI is characterized by an even longer loss of consciousness and can often show brain scans like the one behind me. My own journey with a concussion is 3 years on, and I wanted to share what I have learned so that I may help others. For those of you who are going through a concussion or know someone who is, I have 4 messages. 1, find your experts. 2, find your people. And 3, treat diet as essential and exercise as essential medicine. And lastly, reimagine your life. My first message, find your experts, is about ensuring you seek care from professionals. A doctor can diagnose you and advise you appropriately. Once you have your diagnosis, a physiotherapist can help reset your head and neck. A tense neck is often caused by spasming and restricted blood flow. Once a month has passed from your concussion, symptoms that persist are often a protective mechanism. Your brain is bracing for impact and danger. Occupational therapists can reorder your life. You can plan around how noisy places are and if you should wear earplugs or sunglasses or headphones. Overall, your threshold for handling stimuli will go down. You may get car sick more often or have anxiety about getting another concussion, which can all trigger more symptoms. Services can be government covered, and you can enroll in free treatment studies at big hospitals. Finding your experts is about ensuring that you seek proper care, and it can make a difference. And oftentimes, just sitting and waiting for your symptoms to go away is not always the best option. My second message, find your people, may sound strange, but it's about finding people who understand what it is you are going through. Friends and family may care a lot and do their best to help, but a concussion is not a broken leg. You cannot see it, and so the impact is hard to understand. Concussion Box is an organization with an audio library of people sharing their stories. Mayo Health Clinic in Toronto primarily services people who have been in motor vehicle accidents. The Ontario Brain Injury Association will link you to mentors who can call you every week. Through my own network, I met others who had concussions who gave me invaluable insights and encouragement. From them, I learned tips such as setting up my computer so it had a yellow tint, or knowing that if you hit your head again, it does not necessarily mean you have another concussion. I volunteer as a concussion mentor where I get to connect with people and offer support. The existence of this program suggests a widespread issue, that concussions are isolating in nature. What's even more isolating is how unpredictable they are, how every person has a unique experience, different symptoms, different recovery. But I can promise you, there is still unity in the experience, that there is someone out there who understands, and that finding that someone can make a difference. Number 3, diet and exercise are indeed medicine. Brain injuries cause a metabolic crisis. Your brain is starving for oxygen and fuel as it reorganizes its synapses. Stick to foods that are rich in omega-3 and fatty acids, like salmon and walnuts, and leafy greens which contain antioxidants and brain-supporting nutrients, like kale and spinach. Avoid caffeine, which can induce vasorestriction and restrict blood flow to the brain. Remember that foods high in sugar and processing can also increase inflammation. And most importantly, alcohol. Yes, alcohol, which will slow your brain's healing. These aren't just suggestions from me. They are rules that are gifted by science. And with any kind of cellular injury, your reservoir for how much you can handle will go down. Exercise can target root problems. By increasing oxygen delivery, you can promote neuronal repair, strengthen the brain, and stimulate the growth of new vessels. It is a superpower that you mustn't overlook. My fourth and final message is about finding peace. Yes, peace, which is an idea that feels so far away in the early throes of a concussion. As much as a brain injury can alter or slow down the course of a life, it does not define it. It may be that the timing, the hobbies in your life become different, choices, careers, whether you go to loud restaurants or the movies, whether you play the violin like I used to. But what I have discovered is that to have meaning, joy, and purpose in life remains equally real and possible. Just the path to them may become different. And that reimagining your life, whether in small ways or big ways, to find that path is an essential part of finding the purpose that we all aspire to in life. Thank you for having me here today.